Hi guys, welcome back to episode 5 of the Compa Talk podcast. Today we're joined by a good friend of ours. Haven't spoken to him in a minute, but I'm glad to see him today. Sproate, how you doing today?
Not too bad for yourself.
Good, man. Good, good. I know you've been moving around into different platforms since probably the last time I think I've properly spoken to you. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting talk today. But just kind of introduce yourself and kind of tell us who you are.
Okay. My name's Michael, but people know me as Sproate. That's my surname.
Hmm.
Been around content creation since I was about 12.
Oh, really?
YouTube, Twitch, everything that you can sort of think of, really varying various topics and channel subjects and things of that description. Always wanted to be a content creator of some description. Never really was able to give it a proper go until I'd say 2018,
Okay.
2019, just before COVID. Got a little bit of a run going, a couple of affiliated channels on Twitch, a YouTube channel that was doing okay. And then I made a few rookie errors and lost all my progress and had to start again. But luckily, I haven't made any of those rookie errors since then. We've got a couple of good channels and a couple of good platforms seem to be thriving at the moment. So yeah, you can pretty much find me anywhere.
I think like the basis on that, that's something that I can like just kind of elaborate on though is I feel like when you have those like I wouldn't necessarily call them failures because I don't think you can ever really fail. You just kind of learn from it. No, it's a
Yeah,
learning approach, and I think with like we kind of going through that right now with the whole footy summer thing, which is supposed to happen last summer. Obviously, it didn't happen, or it's supposed to happen this summer, I should say. Obviously, it didn't happen, but there's things that we can take into moving forward for this year, and I feel like you can do that even with like the channels that you say you had rookie mistakes on. Like, you can kind of build off of that, and now you know what you're building towards. So now you
yeah,
know like what to look out for. So I think that's like I never look at it as really like as a failure. I think it's more of a just it's a retooling process. It's a point where you can retool from, and it's a learning process. And I feel like everything kind of happens for a reason, and
of
so
course.
you know everything is kind of guided in that way. So what was like the first piece of content that you created? Because you said you started at age 12. So like, what were you out here making at that age?
Um, I mean, as a kid, I was a massive wrestling fan. Still
Okay.
am technically.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a SmackDown shirt as we speak, so I really can't give away too much on that one, can I? I can't tuck that one under the rug. But no, as a kid, I used to try and sneak staying up and watching Raw on a Monday night or SmackDown on a Tuesday night, as it was back
That's
then.
late for you, isn't
Um,
it? Like,
very very late. So it starts at
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning,
yeah.
finishes at 3 or 4, depending on the show. I used to try and sneak staying up so that I could, whilst I was at school, write reports of the shows and then do 5 to 10 minute review videos, sort of like this format. Just sit in front of a camera and talk
Yeah.
about it, give some opinions and some a star rating system that I had for matches and things like that. Not that I really knew anything about it, to be honest. I was just watching. It was like, oh, I like this person, so it's got a good rating. Um, but
But I think even like the mindset of like just having that the like the creative process of like going through all that, like yeah, like mind you, like you're putting in a lot of work to like do that, but like at that age to have the kind of I don't want to use the wrong word, but like have a drive to like create that sort of content, like it's really something like I think you see it more nowadays. And now
yeah,
that we kind of got into the age where everyone's content creating, everyone's talking about things. You see that with the UFC, F1, like whatever it is, literally any sport, there's people talking about it and they'll do their reviews, they'll do their homework on it. So like a lot of the stuff like back then I feel like was more niche. Like it wasn't really produced as much as it is today. So I
yeah.
think for that area, for the age that you were to have been doing that is actually kind of rare, you know?
Well, that YouTube channel is very much privated and hidden behind lock and key. That pipsqueak voice doesn't need to return unless I'm getting very angry at a video game. But no, like I mean, I appreciate the gesture when it comes to that ideology to work behind and to,
Yeah.
you know, try it. And like you say, it was very niche. It was very slow moving. Like, I would be absolutely over the moon if a video got 10 views on YouTube, like, because, you know, 12, 13, 14 was sort of that age that I was doing it. And like, you didn't really understand why or what the goals were. It was just like, I just want to do this because I enjoy it. And in that sort of interim period, as I say, 12, 13, 14, I did wrestling. I did a bit of football. Wasn't quite into Formula One quite yet to the extent that I am now. But I've sort of taken all of those past adventures and I can sort of mold what I felt like worked into what I do now.
Yeah, and I think that's like that's one of the things where like
Yeah.
if you dabble into like a lot of like different sort of categories, I don't want to even like I guess you could classify it that way. Like you dabble in a lot of categories and you're kind of picking up one thing for another. Like you pick up one thing from here, you kind of apply it here, and you're seeing what works. So like having that experience under your belt like really like helps you out a lot when it comes to creating new content and going into a new space, because like you already have all this build up experience from it. So like I can see where that's something that you can like build off of.
Yeah, it certainly helped. But there are things that would have worked back then that won't work or don't work now. And every day that you pop the camera on and go live or record a video or something, you learn just that little bit more about what today's niche is and what today's audience are looking for. And with that comes an extra element of pressure. When I've been doing it for as long as I have, and I mean, let's be real, I'm not, you know, a massive content creator. I'm not earning thousands of pounds a week and, you know, big mansion on the hills and living abroad and holidays and cars and everything else. Like, I do look back at a few missed opportunities, but I try to use those as motivation to keep going, and to find new ways to innovate, or, you know, new ways to keep it entertaining for me. I think the big thing that content creators tend to forget, especially nowadays, is that people will enjoy you when you are enjoying yourself. And if you're forcing something, whether it be a specific game or a specific subject category, but you're not really enjoying it, people can tell. You know, the long-standing members that have been with you, they can tell. New people that come in, they can check a vibe quite quickly. So it's really about trying to make sure that you do something that you enjoy. Branch out, but
I think
keep it to you.
That's something that we kind of talked about, like in some of our other podcasts. Like, I think like people forget how difficult it actually is to create content, because like the simplicity of like the explaining on what content creation is, I can explain it to you in 5 seconds, and it's really simple. It's you come up with an idea, you record something, and then you post it. It's a really simple concept, but to have the consistency and the level of motivation to continue to keep producing a certain content, or just even being in touch with like what the surrounding elements of that, even in whatever community that you are in, like keeping in touch and understanding certain movements, because obviously like the space moves fairly quickly and you got to keep up. If you get left behind, like, and I guess you could kind of like attribute that to the people, and not like I'm taking a shot or a dig here, but there's people in the past in the FIFA community, because the only thing I can speak on is, you know, they build their content on, you know, League SBC packs and all this other like SBC sort of type of grinding and bronze pack method that was big at a certain point. Now that's not flying, so now you got to pivot and you got to go into something else. So I feel like having the ability to kind of dabble into one thing, go into another, like you being able to do that, like allows you to not, I don't want to say it fall off, but it allows you to continue to make content for a lot longer than maybe if you stay in one linear like content creation sort of space, genre, whatever you want to call it. Like it's a lot easier to kind of just move around, giving yourself that opportunity. So I feel like that's one of the things that I think content creators forget as well, is like, you know, I get that we love creating one thing, but try to branch out there to see if there's other things that you might like. Because I'm gonna be honest, like when I first started content creating, I hated being in front of camera and I hated talking to people. That was one thing that I needed to get over, and I got over really quickly. But then I also quickly discovered how much I actually loved it. Like you you begin to understand a little bit more of things when you just go ahead and try it, even though you think you might not like it. Like having that
100%.
ability to do that, like
It's like
I feel like
feeding
that's
a
one of
child vegetables. It's like feeding a child vegetables. They hate it, but when you grow up, right? Maybe some of you, the rare ones, right? They'll still hate it, but
Nah, I think most people still hate the vegetables, but you know what I
That's a
mean.
bit
Like
of a
it's
weird analogy. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I want to use that analogy,
you
but
gotta do
you get
it.
what you get what I mean. Like it's a lot easier to continue to push forward with content when you are able to do that. Like it just becomes a very difficult space if I feel like if you don't approach it in a way where you can kind of maneuver, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Well, speaking of falling off, I've definitely done that. I'll be the first to admit it, but that's partly due to personal health issues, which you guys might be aware of. I know Honda's definitely aware of, but other people might not. And the other part of that is the fallout of the mental game that we play every day before we pop the camera on, turn the microphone on, and press go live. And as you say, like at the beginning, part of the reason why I started doing it and getting in front of a camera is because I was camera shy. To this day, I still don't like people taking pictures of me, but
Same way.
go
Same
online
way.
and put my face out playing video games or watching sport and everything else. But that's because I'm in control.
Yeah.
And the more that I do it and the more that I engage with people and people see my face and see my reactions and I can gauge from their, reactions at the same time, the more confident you become.
Yeah.
But to this day, I still don't like people taking pictures of me. Like,
the whole
my missus is fuming about it, But
yeah, the whole idea of this, like, here, let's take a picture. It's like I don't feel comfortable with that. Like, like it's people are like, why are you so uncomfortable with like taking pictures? It's you're on a camera like all the time. Like your face is out there, you're making TikToks, you're doing that. Like, but it's not the same thing because like at that point, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I'm in control here. Like I'm the one like controlling what I'm posting. Like if I don't like something, I'm not gonna post it. If I like something, I'm gonna heavily promote it. Like it's just kind of how it works. So it's one of those things where I get what you mean with that. Like it's not an easy mindset to get over, but I think like even like having the engagement of knowing that people they're enjoying your company, they're enjoying your time. Like having that knowledge makes everything a lot easier. Like I don't know how it is for both of you, but that's just how I look at it.
Here's the thing as well too. You don't always have to do it alone, right?
Yeah.
For example, Sproate, he has Wumbo. Basically, they pretty much do a lot of streaming together as well too, and they find the time as well. Maybe not always, but they have that. And how has that partnership helped you and him as well too, Sproate?
Oh God, if I hadn't met him, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Probably, honestly.
No, I'm not. I'm not joking. Like, people throw it around quite a lot. Like they use the terminologies that I'm about to use quite a lot, and it's a bit meaningless. But I genuinely love that guy, and he is genuinely like a brother to me. Like, I have a brother, and we don't talk about him. But Wombo is the brother I wish I had. Someone who is always there to support me, someone always there to pick me up when I'm down, to motivate me when I need motivation, but also to give me that space when it's necessary. And he understands, okay, bad day today, but we move on. Here's what we're going to do next time. And we have that relationship where I do exactly the same thing for him. And that's what we're there for each other to do, is to, bring each other up to the top or as high as we can possibly go. But still respecting each other's boundaries and, learning on a day-to-day basis. I might go 2 weeks without hearing from him. I know he's absolutely fine, but it doesn't stop me from worrying about him, sending him a message, making sure he's all right. And if he doesn't hear from me, he knows that, I'm fine, probably, but he still reaches out. Like, we literally are like that in terms of like a brotherhood. And like I say, that does get thrown around a lot, but I genuinely love that guy like a brother. And without him, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because I'd have given up months ago.
Like there's a lot of things where like, and I we can kind of speak on this too, Honda, like because we have our own little like group, and I feel like, I mean, even today, like, I mean, sometimes there's not every day we're talking, right? But you know that if I need something, like I can just pop in the Discord and you guys are gonna be there and like I can talk to you. Like having that while you're creating content helps you out a lot. Like, and not even that, but it helps you push through the hard moments, because I feel like there's a lot of times where I think we've all experienced this before, where you're kind of just stuck in a rut. You don't really know in what direction creatively to go. Like things aren't going well. You know where you want to be, but you're just stuck. And like having the ability to have someone there to talk to on a daily basis, whether that's in a Discord call, on the phone, whatever, like having the ability to approach people. And I think it's easier when you're doing the same thing or similar things, because I understand what you're going through because I've gone through it. You know what I mean? Like, or vice versa. Like if it just allows you to be able to have that conversation, and you can easily, like, I'm not saying that other people won't understand, but it's harder for people to understand. Like,
because they've not been through it.
Because not only because they haven't been through it, but they don't know the space. Like, they don't know how quickly shit changes. Like, it's a lot difficult to go to, like, I'm just going to use this as an example. Like, it's a lot difficult to go up to my dad and be like, hey, like, I'm struggling right now with like being motivated and content creating. He doesn't know any of that. Like life experience, yes, sure. Like he can give me advice on life, but when it comes to this specific area of life, he can't really help me. The only people that we really have is everyone else that we're kind of connected to, and I feel like it. I don't want to say forcibly, but you're more inclined to find people that you can relate to and have that kind of relationship with in this space because you're doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's a certain generation that this as a concept bypassed.
Yeah.
And so, like you say, going to parents or going to, you know, older relatives or what have you, they won't even have anything that they can link this to try and sort of pull from life experience and say, okay, this isn't exactly the same, but it's similar enough that we can advise. You really have to go to your colleagues and peers, which is everybody else that has ever turned on a camera and you've interacted with. They're a colleague or a peer, whether they've got more viewers than you, less viewers than you, more subs than you, less subs than you. It doesn't make a difference. We're all on the same level until, you know, we hit superstardom, which obviously everybody aims for, but not everybody gets to. But the best people to get advice from, to walk and talk things through with, are the people on the platform, your colleagues and friends that you make along the way.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I think because we all kind of met each other through FIFA. Like, that's just how we all ended up meeting up. But like that's what I mean. Like, I think with even like the FIFA community, despite how shit the game can be, like I think we all know this.
Don't start.
Like, I'm not even gonna start there because I don't want to go on another rant, because I feel like we've been doing that for the past couple episodes. But we all know how bad the game can be. As bad as the game can be, the one thing that I can take away from it, and the one good thing that I can say about that, is the community that we've been able to develop within. And I'm not just saying like, because I feel like I separate it when it comes to the community, like the viewers and like the streamers. Like, and it might be a bad thing to kind of do that, but it's how it works in my head. And I feel like most of us streamers that are in the community, we all kind of help each other out. Like, in one way or another, we're all kind of in contact, like, or we've all spoken to each other at one point. At least that's how it's been for me. Like, I'm able to go to people that are 10 times bigger than me, still have a conversation, consider them friends, have these good conversations with them. And like, it's not like anything changes, you know. I feel like in some other communities, it's not really like that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of something that I just don't have experience on, because I don't really know. But, you know, I'm not in communities, but that's just the way that I would say
that in relation to the separation of the streamers and the viewers, and saying whether you didn't know whether that's a bad thing or not, I think it's absolutely fine. Like, I'll liken it to, you know, being in the culinary world, and like, you're a trainee chef, you're learning to cook. You're not going to go and ask a diner how to cook a steak. You're going to go to a chef that's more experienced or on the same level as you. You don't go into the dining room and ask people how they want, you know, how to cook food. You go and learn in a culinary school, in a chef school. So separating streamers and viewers isn't an issue, as long as you treat everybody on the same level when it is appropriate. But yeah, you wouldn't go and ask, you know, Billy on table 7 how to cook a steak, you go and speak to Gordon Ramsay or someone of that description if you had the opportunity to do so. I wouldn't go and ask one of my viewers, say for example, to pluck a name, James Diamond, his opinion on what I should do for FIFA if I was doing FIFA content, because he doesn't like FIFA. He likes my content and he'll want me to do anything that he just wants me to go live. As an example, he doesn't care what I'm doing. But I'd come to you guys for an example of what I should. This is the idea I've got. You guys are in the FIFA space. Do you think it would work?
Yeah,
it's not an issue to separate the two, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and getting out of that what you need. Yeah,
because you can still. I'm not saying you can't develop friendships with like your viewers, because I feel like you organically do. Organically, you're kind of, I don't want to say tied down, but like you're in and around your community a lot more than you probably will be with other creators, which isn't because it's normal. It's how it is. And you generate good friendships out of that. But like I'm like, friendship wise, like I'm very close to a lot of people. Obviously, like I don't think the podcast is able to happen without all these good relationships that we have with a bunch of other content creators. Like that's the fortunate thing that I take away from it. It's like I can do this and I can feel like I'm not like, I never felt like I've been less than any other creator in the space, nor have I felt like I've been more than. And I feel like that mindset doesn't always translate with everyone, because I think we all can kind of, I'm not going to poke names because I'm not here to, start shooting shots, but there's people in the community that you just know that they just feel like they're just bigger than everyone else. And like, it's fine if you feel that way, honestly, like it is, but like, I'm just not that way, and nor will I ever be. And I don't think that there's anyone that I feel is too small for me to even like talk to, you know what I mean? Like having that, like I feel like I've experienced that before with some people, but like, I mean, it is what it is, like
you're not going to be liked by 100% of the people that click onto a stream or a video.
It's true.
So you have to focus on those who click into a stream, click onto a video, enjoy it, engage with it, and engage with you in part. Because if you focus on the people that come in and leave shitty comments on your YouTube or on your TikTok, or come into the stream and start belittling you and belittling your work and your community, you're going to fizzle out because you're going to feel demotivated.
Yeah.
You've got to focus on those that keep you motivated. Now, whether that be through engagement, likes, positive comments, consistently coming back, helping you by modding, whatever the scenario might be. This is all before you think about, any financial aid that people do give, which to me on a separate note very quickly is insane, that there are people that choose to financially support me. But we'll park that for a minute. But you have to focus on the people that enjoy you for you. You can't focus on the negative, and believe me, everybody focuses on the negative every now and then.
Because it's easier to see. Because the negative stands out more. And I feel like that's in general, like anything that you hear in life in general that's negative will always stand out to you. Like one negative comment will stand out more than 100 positive comments.
Yep.
Because it's that one person that and I think it's just human nature that like I don't think there's like I genuinely do not give a fuck what people think about me. I'm just laying that out there. Because at the end of the day, it's just your opinion and you don't really know me. Like that's how I go around in life. Like, but I can't deny and say that there is moments where I just feel like I've been criticized in the past for something that like you don't know me. Why are you criticizing me? But at the end of the day, like it's not under my control, like that's just their opinion. And you kind of you have to kind of shove it under the rug and just like, I mainly use it as motivation to continue doing more, because at the end of the day, I'm going to end up proving you wrong. And that's the whole, like, that's the way that I just approach it.
That's what I was going to say as well, too. Go ahead, Sproate.
I was just going to say, we jump on a camera every day or every week or however often. We leave ourselves open to criticism. But why do we focus on the negative criticism? Why don't we focus on the positive, reassuring like feedback?
We gotta focus on both. And here's the thing why. Because the positive criticism, obviously, right, it's gonna motivate you to do more, right? But that negative criticism, okay, some of them it's just like, okay, why the hell are you on this platform? Get the fuck off this platform, right? But there are other criticism where it's like they're seeing something wrong they just put it out to you in the wrong matter, and we take it as negative. But if you look in between the lines, they're just trying to help you out at the end of the day.
Constructive
Not everyone's
criticism
like
is
that,
always good.
but it's constructive.
Yeah.
Yeah, constructive is important, and you do try and, you know, take on board as much as you can. But there's a very big difference between coming in and somebody saying, "Oh, well, maybe you should try this," and somebody go, "Oh, you suck at this." Like, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And like,
there's
Turn
a
that
big
negative into
difference.
the positive. It's a view. It's a view. You gave me a view already. You already lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Even then, though, like I'll never understand that sort of mindset and like that people have of just like feeling like you have to go in someone's channel. Like, yeah, I can use an example of this. Like, let's just say you're playing a game of champs and you beat the guy, and like there's people out there that have their stream, their stream Twitch or whatever on their team name. This guy loses, he goes to the channel, so it's like leaving negative comments, being like, like I never understand that mindset. Like, why?
Losers
It's
mentality.
a game at the end of the day, too, man.
I just don't get it. Like, maybe it's just people. Like, maybe people are just people, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not. It's not one of those things that that I would say is like something that I can relate to or.
Well, here's a question. Here's a question. Whether it's FIFA, Call of Duty, Warzone, Fortnite, whatever it is, be honest. Have you ever lost a game and not abused the person that's cost you the game in some capacity? Let's be real.
Maybe not the person per se, but maybe at the game, yeah, directed at the game,
So
yeah.
every single time you lose a game of FIFA, or I get killed in Fortnite, or I die in Warzone, or whatever the scenario is, someone gets abuse. And it's not me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just the competitive manner that we all have. And the reason that we stand out a little bit more is because we have that competitive edge. But that sometimes does put you in a scenario where you've then got to deal with the adverse coming back. If you lose a game of FIFA and you abuse the guy, and you're in the middle of abusing the guy or abusing the game, and that guy comes into your stream and hears you say it, and then you have an argument or a backwards and forwards, you've then got to deal with the fact that not only did you lose, but you were also in the wrong because you abused him.
Yeah.
So you've really got to be careful.
We've seen that
How
quite
you
a
go
few
about
times
these
as
matters.
well, too, by the way. We've seen that
Yeah,
quite a few times.
I mean, it happens. I'm not saying it won't, but like, I feel like it's just not something that I would openly go out and do. But I want to get to another talking point. I know you're a United fan. And everyone
Why would we
in
be
here,
United, bro?
listen. It's international break. It's a lovely time for us because we don't have to watch our team play for another.
The fact
2
that
weeks.
Harry Maguire is our hero, yeah.
Like the fact that we don't have to watch the team for 2 weeks, I'm excited. But I just want to get your take on this, like how do you think we approach to like recover from this crisis that I feel like we've been on for like 3-4 years? I know it's a loaded question, but
3-4 years is cute. Try a decade. Look, I will keep it very brief in relation to the here and the now. Back the manager, because you've got to. Back the players, even if they're not performing. Wait for the injury crisis to be over, because we do have an injury crisis. And yes, injury crises happen to every team every season. But we have not had, for example, our strongest back four, which in my opinion, and you can argue with the wall, is Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Martinez and Shaw. That's our strongest back four.
It is.
And not once has that back four played together this season.
I think they played, what was it, like the most of like 2 games?
No, they haven't played together this season.
No, they haven't played at all.
Because he opted for Delo at the beginning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how is Andre Onana, who's the new keeper, gonna settle in with stability and trust his defenders when they're changing every week? And Dalot's at right back one game and left back the next game, and Lindelof's out at left back one game, but then he's playing right centre back the next game, and there's no stability. And then we've got all of these.
Bro, please, for the love of God, do not back Anthony, because I did ask even beforehand. I was like, no, this guy is not for this club.
You back the players because it's your job as a fan to back the team, and the team includes players that you don't like or that don't perform or that are a waste of money. That man should go back to the favelas of Brazil, learn to play football again, and then come back to Europe and try again. But again, we will leave it. He wants to be, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, all of these types of players that he idolizes. Maybe he should watch some footage about what they did and how they played, because cutting in on the left and skying a shot into the far corner stand every single time is
this
not
guy
quite
plays
their
like my
style.
70-year-old neighbor, man.
So
swear to God, bro.
We'll ignore that, but there just needs to be some stability brought into the team that will come in the new year when we get a lot of our players back. And then we can settle down into a solid 14, 15, 16 players that play consistently in a rotation. We're not having to rely on, with all due respect to Harry Maguire or Johnny Evans, as a very aging centre-back partnership.
The fact that we have to rely on Johnny Evans in the Champions League, like,
we're not having
Johnny
to rely
Evans
on someone
should
like
not be
Garnacho
playing,
as well.
But
yeah,
he's
Far
a
too
good,
young.
like, kind of like.
and genuinely, I feel like
children
Garnacho's is like his development is getting stunned a bit because he's being forced to be thrown into positions where he's just not ready.
Playing every week.
Yeah,
Every
not
single
ready.
week. We're doing to Garnacho what happened to Rashford after his breakout season.
Yeah.
Came in halfway through the season in and around Europe, played against Midtjylland, or however you pronounce it, got a couple, played against Arsenal in the Premier League, got a couple, took off running under Van Gaal. Van Gaal then got sacked, and Rashford didn't have the greatest following season, but we were going, okay, go on, every week, he's going to score. And you put that added pressure. Garnacho's got that pressure on him. He's also getting chance relative the greatest of all time. Again, argue with the wall. The greatest of all time being linked with him. He's getting Viva Garnacho chance, which belongs to Ronaldo. That extra pressure. And then every single week he's having the shite kicked out of him. He's losing confidence. He's trying too hard to overcompensate. And you say his progress is being stagnated. We're also in a struggling side as it is. And it's just not going to work. So we need to relax. We need to get players back in, get players back fit, find a system, a formation that works for the manager and for the players. And then we'll see the best of the manager, because we know how good this manager can be. We've seen how good he made Ajax. A minute away from a Champions League final against Liverpool. A minute away before the Lucas moment for Tottenham where he scored a hat-trick.
And you can't even argue that we don't have the quality of being better than the Ajax. We do. It's just
there's no argument.
There's just in moments that we had last season, though, we looked very good. In spare moments, we looked good.
The other thing is that the Premier League is becoming more and more competitive every year.
Yeah.
More and more money being injected into it, which means that smaller teams or weaker teams are not as small or as weak as they were a decade ago, 15 years ago.
Newcastle, Villa, West Ham, they're all coming.
Even if you look at someone like Fulham, who United recently played, and the goal that we scored to open it with Hoyland assisted by McTominay, we had something like 23 passes, I think it was, between the players.
We had a competent striker too.
We got 23 passes, I think it was, before the goal went in.
Yeah.
Beautiful example of Ten Hag football and what he wants from a set of players that are not his preferred choices. Again, centre-back partnership, not there. Left-back being Dalot, who is not a good enough right-back, let alone a left-back. Midfield very much lacking defensive leadership in Casemiro, who was out injured. We've got Fernandes and Eriksen playing holding midfield. He's not a holding midfielder at all, but he's doing a job. And then you've got Rashford playing out on the right, which isn't his favourite position, and immediately puts him on the back foot because we're favouring Garnacho over there, who's not performing. And then Hoyland trying his best. Making the runs, making the movement, got himself a goal.
He's doing his thing. He's doing his thing.
He's got 5 goals in the Champions League this season.
Yeah, in the Champions League,
doing it at the highest level.
In the Premier League, we just can't put it together. We can't,
because European football is different to Premier League football. The Premier League football is getting harder and harder every year. And when you're struggling for confidence and you're going to these places and the teams no longer fear you, 20 years ago, Man United came to town. Teams were had lost before they'd even, walked in the changing room. They're not scared of United anymore in the Premier League, and they're starting to not be scared of United in Europe. Well, they've already not
replaced with the other club. They got replaced with the
you go to somewhere like Galatasaray, in a couple of weeks when we go to Galatasaray, they're not going to give up about United.
Yeah.
They came to Old Trafford and won. They walked straight into our back garden and destroyed us. They're not going to care. Bring United. You're not City. Bring United. We don't care. We'd be scared of the blue, not the red. And that's the scenario that we're in at the moment. Unfortunately, it's a bitter pill for United fans to swallow, but the blue side are a lot more intimidating than the red side at the moment. And we have to change. Yep. But it's going to take time. It takes a lot of money, a lot of patience. And United fans, unfortunately, all of the Ferguson babies that are used to absolutely nothing but winning, you're going to have to sit there and swallow some humble pie and deal with the fact that we're not going to be there for a good few years yet. But it will come. Eras come to an end. Swings and roundabouts. It will be okay. You just got to deal with it and take the banter, because believe me, back in the
dished it out.
early 2000s, we dished it out to everyone. So now we've got to sit back and take it. It's as simple as that.
I'd even say if we don't make it to Europe, that's fine, because it's a part of the rebuild.
I think we need, I don't know if it's just me, but I think we need a similar to what Chelsea did, but we just need maybe not rejuvenation to that extent, because I feel like Chelsea rejuvenated to fucks. If you look at that squad, the squad's very young, very they have a few pieces here that are experienced, but very, very green type of a team. And I wouldn't say we really necessarily need that, but I feel like we need just an injection of youth. We just don't have enough youth that I feel like we can continue pushing out. Yeah, we got Højlund, Garnacho, obviously, but these are two players in how many positions do we not need depth in? That I feel like if we brought some younger players along, not saying that they need to start now.
Wrong, the United youth is there. They're just not bringing them up from the academies either, which I guess it kind of makes sense because they don't want to ruin the players either.
But half of these players aren't even getting opportunities.
Ten Hag will bring them up, but not until. If you look at Kobbie Mainoo, for example, brought him up, was going to integrate him into this season. Into the team this season, got injured in pre-season, has only just come back. But in the incidences that we've seen him, he's been very solid. But Ten Hag's not going to rush him. Very intelligent. Mourinho wouldn't rush players. Van Gaal rushed Rashford in, and luckily he set the world on fire and was able to play through the season that Van Gaal was there before Van Gaal was sacked. But then Mourinho didn't exactly force Rashford. Gave him a lot of game time, but didn't rush him. Didn't rush his development, gave him opportunities to prove himself, but didn't rush him into, you're the number one star at United, now you're the one that we're relying on for goals. It just so happened to be that way because Rashford is capable of that, which is why I get frustrated when people give him stick. Yes, he's having a bad season. Last season, he was on fire. The season before, he had a bad season. The season before that, he was on fire. We need just a little bit more consistency from a man that's only 25 years old, I believe. It will come. But we need stability at the club to stabilize these young players. And 25 is still young nowadays. Yeah. It's not old by any means. But we had one opportunity as a club for a shortcut back to the top. And we missed it. And that was the Qatari takeover. That was the shortcut back to the top in terms of, a brand new stadium, brand new training facility, brand new investment into players, into coaches, into staff recruitment, into every aspect of the club would have been skyrocketed to the top. We'd have had a stadium better than Real Madrid's new one, better than Spurs' new one, better than all of these new stadiums all around the world, because they had that money ready and put aside. We missed that gravy train. It's gone now. Got to deal with it. No more shortcuts. Gonna have to take the long route. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy watching this team develop and get back to the top. That's how I'll end it.
It's interesting. It's an interesting take because there's a lot of work that needs to be put in that I feel like it's gonna take some time, but I don't disagree with a lot of the things that you said though. But yeah, just gonna redirect it quick because I know you shifted from streaming a lot of FIFA content and WWE content to Formula One and stuff like that. So what got you to switch into that different field, I should say?
FIFA being shit for the first part.
I think obviously.
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, pretty much. No, I mean, as we touched on earlier, you've got to try new things.
Mhm.
and I have more passions than just football.
Yeah.
As my early content creation attempts will attest to. I wanted to be a wrestling journalist. I wanted to be a wrestling commentator. I wanted to be a wrestling ring announcer because of the concepts of the work that I was putting in and the research I was doing and the reports I was creating. I wanted to try and stir up a bit of a buzz and then, see what happened. Didn't quite work out that way. Move on to football, doing live reactions to football, playing FIFA, playing, pro clubs and Ultimate Team and all of these other things. And eventually staled out a little bit. So I branched out to my three sports, my three passions within sport are football, Formula One, and wrestling. I've tried two. Why not try the third? There's a target market out there, Formula One. It was a growing industry at the time. It's grown way beyond anything that we could have imagined with Drive to Survive and all of the, races in America and races in the Middle East and everything else. It's grown massively, and unfortunately, again, I've missed that gravy train. But live reactions to the qualifying sessions, live reactions to the sprint races, to the main races, potentially trying to build a podcast around it, which didn't quite work out because I couldn't quite secure a co-host. I don't want to do a podcast where I sit there by myself and talk. That's just a video. It's not a podcast. And I couldn't quite gather someone that wanted to do it, week in, week out, or every race weekend at a time. You try and branch out and you play the game, and if you're playing pro clubs, you can play with a maximum of 10 people if you're including every position, including a goalkeeper, including yourself. So 10 and you. With Formula One, you can double that. You can go to 20, 22 people that you can play at the same time. So you're broadening your opportunity to bring people in and see you and your content and see whether they like it, whether they enjoy it, and whether they want to race with you and what have you. So that brings more eyes to the product. And just trying to rinse and repeat and rotate. Today I've done 2 streams separately today for Fortnite because there's a bit of a buzz around it. I used to play it back before it was cool to play Fortnite.
Yeah.
Now it's not cool to play. It's not cool to play Fortnite anymore because Warzone's a thing and Call of Duty's got a new game that's come out this week and what have you. But I don't have that, so I'm going to play the next best thing. It's Formula One is a passion of mine. I've been watching it since I think 2007 was my first season, which ironically turned out to be
era,
well, just after the Schumacher.
Just after, right?
Schumacher won his last championship in 2004.
5. Was it 5? No, who won 5? That was
Fernando Alonso won it in 5 and 6. And then it was Kimi Räikkönen in 7. Yeah. But that was Lewis Hamilton's debut year, and Hamilton lost the championship by 1 point.
To Kimi,
if you remember rightly, he had an issue entering the pit lanes in China, got beached, and ended up losing the championship the following race. But that was the season that I started watching it. You build a bit of a rapport, like you pick a team or you pick a driver or you pick both. In my case, I picked both. I picked McLaren as a British team, which I'm wearing the hat of now. I also have, I didn't think I'd go for the orange. I didn't think too much would be, too much orange on the screen. I think you might have a moment on the camera. But no, so you pick the team, you pick the driver. Lewis driving for McLaren made it a lot easier to support the British driver and the British teams. And you go from there. You learn about all of the countries that they go to, all of the tracks that they race at, all of the history of the sport, the constructors, the drivers, everything that comes with it. Then you get a little bit older and you learn a bit deeper into the mechanics and the engineering of the car.
Yeah.
And these things are incredible.
Intricate. Like, for people that don't know, the amount of it's not just a car. You'd be surprised how many aero packages, how many the way that the engine's set up, brake ducts, how important this stuff actually is to the performance of a car, that you would just, it's not like your regular road car out here. There's a lot of intricacies.
You're driving a car. You're driving a USB stick. You're driving a computer. You're driving a laptop. You all of these different components, and then the actual engineering side of things. That actually say that your brakes and your tires and your steering and all of the things that come with it, which I'm not going to bore people with.
Yeah,
and then you learn about understeer and oversteer and strategies and tire compounds and weather conditions and everything. And this is such a complex it's so much more complex than football.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
It
like
is. 100%.
football fans
100%.
might not agree with that, but
100%.
Formula One is a lot more complex.
100%.
But what makes it beautiful is its complexion, like how difficult it is to understand, because once you get in and you start to understand things, you unlock different parts of your brain, like explodes out to you, like, oh my god, look at all of these new things that I'm learning about. And that's before you've even got on to the race itself. And I mean, the racing's not as entertaining as it has been in the past. Max Verstappen and drive around on a Sunday and everybody's fighting for second, and it's a bit.
You already know who's gonna win, but yeah, that's
that again. We're talking about United and City, and you know there are eras, and you know Mercedes have had a very dominant era. Red Bull are now in their era. Ferrari and Schumacher had their era. Alonso with Renault had his couple of years, which you could technically call an era. I'm not sure.
He had a year.
You learn, and and I mean, there's a passion. If there's passion, you can make content. It's as simple as that. So cycling all the way back to how did I get into Formula One? It's passion. You have a passion, you follow it, you try and see what you can make of it.
I enjoy Formula One a lot. It's something that I don't really talk about, but I do actually enjoy watching it and just like learning more about the sport itself, because there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to it. Like that, just the average person, like I just find it interesting to know about all that stuff. But whenever I sit down to play like the game, I don't know. This thing doesn't help me. I'll tell you that right now. This thing doesn't help me. Like it's very difficult to try to steer the car in the right direction.
Because you've not had a lesson from the professor yet.
I think that's what it
exactly.
is. You know?
You need the professor's lesson, bro.
Like
I told you already.
I've sat in those lobbies before. I don't know if I've sat with you guys, but I've definitely done it with like Denman. And I've sat in their lobbies like trying to race. I just can't I can't figure it out.
Sproate has actual lessons. I don't know about right now, but
yeah, but I can do it like on the little like career mode thing where you have all the assists on and it's very easy, you know. But I can't, no assists. Like you got me.
Nah.
Yeah,
you got me swimming out here in the deep end for no reason.
There's a midway point. I'm not just going to turn all of your assists. I don't race with all assists off.
Yeah,
I have a couple of assists still on, but it's because it's what I'm comfortable and at my best at.
Yeah,
and I'm not bothered about becoming the next esports world champion because I mean physically I'm not allowed to anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to use the steering wheel anymore. So my sim racing career, if there ever was one, is over. And I'm now just playing for the fun of playing, the engagement of the community. And I mean, I've taken a bit of a break from it because I think I went for a period where every time I loaded up a stream, it was Formula One. I was getting a bit frustrated. They were getting bored. So we took a bit of a step back and we've rotated things around. You know, Fortnite's having a bit of a boom now. So we're sort of playing that out, you know, and then we'll go back to F1 or we might try some Rocket League. And then by that time, hopefully GTA will come back round ready for GTA 6's launch and people will be getting excited and we can go and do, you know, races and playlists.
Finally,
and things like
popular
that.
announcement. I can't wait for that.
You know what I enjoyed about GTA? No, this is what I enjoyed about GTA for the beginning. When I was actually kicking everyone's ass, and I enjoyed that, and that fell off. That I fell off really quickly when I played with you guys, because every time we'd go play with our lobbies over here, I'm over here cruising, literally no competition. I go, you guys, man, that was the biggest amount of headaches that I gotten playing GTA was with you guys. I just want you to know that.
So with Honda will confirm this. Well, I hope he will. He won't lie on your podcast. Wombo used to be known as a taxi driver on GTA. if you
I remember that nickname.
Drivers.
I remember that nickname.
It was literally the taxi drivers and Sproate.
And then I taught him how to play Formula One, and now he can race on GTA without being called a taxi driver. Because if you can learn to play the most difficult racing games, the most complex racing games,
which I think can help me out a lot
in all of the other games. If you try and race Formula One like you race on GTA, you'll fail. But if you try and race on GTA like you race on Formula One, you'll do better.
Yeah, so Honda, remember how I would like preach L2 in GTA? Because everyone just holds this and they decided that's the best strategy they got is let me just accelerate the whole way through. And it doesn't matter if I hit the wall, I'm not being punished. Like having that sort of switch in mindset, and I'll tell you, like I was playing Formula One before we started playing like GTA races. So me knowing like, hey, you got to brake, you can't like go full gas on this turn or whatever. Like that's what made me so much better than everyone else. But then I go play with you guys, and you guys know what you're doing, so it's like there's no advantage here. And then I hear about
if you're genuinely interested in trying to learn the basics into the medium basics, let me know.
No, for sure.
Because I'd say 40% of the people in the community that had never played Formula 1 before that now play are at the level that they're at because of me.
Yeah,
and I don't.
I'll come through. I'll come through for sure.
Yeah, come and get involved.
But yeah, then all of a sudden I hear GTA something about curb boosting and doing all this other stuff. I'm like, bro, what? Like I was just introduced to a whole level of sweat that I didn't even know existed.
I'm gonna actually call out the name Sid Bleed.
Sid,
you fraud. You and your curb boosting. How about you race properly, buddy?
Yo, that back, but I had fun though. Like as frustrating as I would get with the game, like I enjoyed it. I had fun. Like I think it allowed like to have that sort of community aspect that's difficult to have when you're playing just Ultimate Team by yourself. And I think that's why we get into the pro club side of things, and we get into the like GTA races, and obviously you with Formula 1, like. Having those community-based like activities allows everyone to stay engaged, and it keeps people around, and you're able to kind of just like have a laugh at it because you do shit one time, now you take the stick, or someone else who's talking a lot of shit does bad, and so now you're giving them stick back. Like that sort of like kind of banter is just difficult to generate naturally without you having to play like a community-oriented like type of thing. You know what I mean?
How old are you both in comparison?
I'm 23.
27. You're 23. I'm 27. Honda?
25. I'm exactly in the middle.
So you're in the middle. Okay, so I don't know about you two. Probably more Honda than you, John, with all due respect. When you were a kid, there was nothing worse than playing a video game by yourself, right?
Yeah.
You always wanted a mate to come over and play with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you would enjoy a certain, like, I used to enjoy like adventure games, Nintendo 64, and you'd play Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong or what have you, which I still try and play to this day to, relive my childhood and try and remember a time where things were fun.
Simpler.
But as a kid and as a teenager, like early teens, there was nothing more important to you than socializing via video games. You always wanted someone to come and play, whether it was a sibling that came and played with you or a friend that came over and played with you. You didn't want to play by yourself.
Exactly.
That same desire has translated all the way through your childhood into your teenage years as to where you are now, where you're now content creating, and the only thing you want is for people to come and play / watch and hang out with you. It's the exact same concept as the thing when you were a kid. You were either social as a kid and you want to be come and play, come and do this, and that's what you want as an adult, or you go the other way and you completely want to play by yourself, and you stream nowadays and you play by yourself, and you'll play League of Legends by yourself, or you'll play Pokemon by yourself, or what have you, and people will enjoy you and join you and watch, but they know it's a single player game, and you have two very vast communities like chopped in half, like people that play together, people that play by themselves, and that has just come through from childhood. And it's crazy to me to look back at it and think, I was always around a mate's house. We were doing like lounge mode on FIFA and like, taking red cards at the start and stopping players and like goal boosts and things like this, and like playing with your mates. And now all I want is to bring that same energy to someone via a computer screen or a phone screen or what have you.
It's just got easy. Technology's made it easier, to be honest, with the ability of playing with people online and stuff like that. So I mean, it definitely made it easier, but it still doesn't take away the fun that it still has, like having that enjoyment. So
I agree.
I get what you mean by that. But all right, I think we've had a pretty good conversation here, honestly. I'm just gonna give you the opportunity to shout out anything that you want to shout out.
Well,
any people, anyone.
I'm literally live everywhere. That's the problem. Like,
we'll drop all your links. We'll drop all your links in the description. Everything will be
in the description below.
Have you got enough characters?
Yeah, we will have enough. We'll end up doing? We'll end up building you a link tree, and then everything is just right.
Hey, that'd be decent, actually. I'll take that. Yeah, no, like, so I've gone from streaming on Twitch to streaming on YouTube to streaming on Kick to streaming on Kick and YouTube to now streaming on all 3 platforms. I think my Twitch has so I've recently rebranded, changed the profile picture, changed the name slightly. So I was M_Sproate29, which is obviously M for Michael, Sproate being my surname, and 29 being my birthday. But it's a bit
So many
long-winded and
nicknames for
difficult to
that.
type in and everything else,
Yeah.
and everybody just referred to me as Sproate. That was what they call me. It's fine because it's my surname. So
Or
I've rebranded. Well,
Right?
yeah, whatever.
The infamous Teddy badge that got made.
Yeah,
Hand drawn logo, by the way.
yeah, Teddy. Shout out to Teddy. That gave me that. But no, so I've changed it now. So I'm just Sproate. I'm either Sproate or I'm Sproate_. Very simply, just because some platforms had already had them taken. So I think on Twitch I'm Sproate_. On Kick and YouTube I'm just Sproate. On Twitter or X or whatever it's being called this week, it's Sproate_. So either one of the two. You can find them. I'm not as live as often as I'd want to be. Again, that's a medical scenario, which I can't help, unfortunately, and will unfortunately get worse, which means that I will become even more inconsistent as the months and years roll by. But just know that if I'm physically able to, I'll be live on as many platforms as I can for as long as I can, trying to entertain the people that want to be entertained by me. If you like it, brilliant. If you don't like it, then I can certainly recommend another couple of content creators at least that you guys can go and watch. So, support the community essentially. Don't just support me because I won't be there all the time.
and for me, obviously I wish and I hope that everything ends up working out in the end. Hope things get better for you. Obviously I know it's a long-winded process and there's a lot of things that you can't help with, but
very hard.
Hopefully
it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, hopefully things do end up getting at least a little bit better if they can.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, on that note, guys, it's been a good podcast. Enjoyed your time. If you guys like the episode, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time with our next guest. See you guys later.
Thanks for having me.